Hello everyone. So in this video we are going to talk about the Azure Ethereum VM image and how to use that image to get started with learning Ethereum by examples. So the topic we are going to cover today includes creating VM from Ethereum devkit image. So this devkit image will be made available in the Azure marketplace, from where you can create your own virtual machine from this image. Next, we will talk about connecting to that VM you are going to create from the image. Third, we will understand the dev environment. What are the different components the environment consists of. And finally, we will have a demo, a sort of a hello world demo to understand what Ethereum is and how it works. So let's get started. So first of all, you need to have an account in Azure. So as most of you will be aware, Azure is the cloud service provided by Microsoft. You need to sign in to Azure to utilize the virtual machine. In case you don't have an account, you can just go to Azure and create your account, and they provide some free trial to get started with some credit, so you don't need to pay upfront for any of their services. You can evaluate Azure for without any charge. So for that, in case you don't have any account, you just go to Google and search for Azure free subscription, and here you can subscribe for their free offering. Okay, so I assume that you go and create your Azure account. So once you create your Azure account, you can log into Azure through their portal.azure.com, and once you log in, you will have your dashboard in front of you, which will look different for each account, right? So in my case, I have different resources created, so it looks like this. What you need to do is you need to go to virtual machines. Here in your case, you might not have any virtual machine created. For me, I have one virtual machine, right? So we are going to now go and create our virtual machine from the Ethereum development kit available from techlatest.net. So for that, we'll click on plus or add. Now here you need to search for Ethereum development kit, and you will see this option. So you will select this virtual machine image for Ethereum development kit. You will see these options. So you need to select this option where you will see Ethereum development kit techlatest.net. Once you select this, then you will see this screen where it will give you details about what this Ethereum development kit is, what are the different out of the box environments you are going to have. Like you will have the Truffle Ethereum framework in the VM, built in the VM. You will have the Ganache testnet, which is used for testing the blockchain. It provides you a test RPC a blockchain for testing your application. Then it comes with Go implementation of Ethereum, which is also called Geth, and it has MetaMask Firefox plugin. So this plugin is used when you are using any blockchain dApp application which is browser based. Then it comes with a Quorum private blockchain, which is a fork of Ethereum used for implementing transactions which you want to have security around, which you don't want to be publicly available. So this Quorum is the Ethereum implementation with privacy built into the blockchain. And then there are hands-on demos. So this page gives you all the details about the Ethereum development kit virtual machine available in the marketplace. So then this virtual machine can only be deployed in a resource manager. So it will be selected by default, and we'll click on create. And then it will take you to the first page of your settings for the virtual machine, where you need to provide the basic information. So in this case, we need to give the virtual machine a name. I will name it as Ethereum devkit environment. We will select HDD. You can also go for SSD. SSD will be faster, but it will incur more cost. For this development environment, since it is not going to be very heavily utilized by a concurrent user, it is not going to be some sort of an online application. We are okay with HDD. You need to give the username, so I'll give Ubuntu. Now how you want to connect to the machine? So there are options. You can have the authentication done through SSH public key, or you can go with a password based authentication. So in our case, we'll go with password based authentication. I will give the password over here. The password should meet the password criteria. It should be a combination of small character, upper character, special character, numbers. And then resource group. So resource group is where all the required resources to run your VM machines, like for example the virtual network, the disk, and everything are grouped together. Okay, if you want to know more about it, you can click over here, and there is a link to learn more about it. So we are not going to get into detail about what a resource group is. Here we are just going to select create a new resource group. Okay, we will call this resource group as Ethereum devkit environment resource group. You need to then select the location. Okay, so I'll go with East US. You need to select the location which is nearest to your location, so that you can connect the connectivity with the virtual machine is faster. Then we'll click on OK. It will take you to the next screen, where you need to choose the virtual machine size. Okay, so for this virtual machine, we need at least 2 virtual CPUs, and you can have 4 or 8 GB of RAM. I'll go with an 8 GB RAM machine, because that will give me a better performance. So then here are your options. Okay, so in my case, I will go for B2MS, okay, which is an 8 GB machine with 2 CPUs. I will select this, click on select. Then it will take me to the third page, where I need to provide some configuration details. Okay, so in our case, we are going with HDD. We don't want any availability set so availability set provides you a redundancy to your application. Since our application is not that much mission critical, we'll skip the availability set. Storage is HDD. We don't want any managed disk either. Okay, so managed disk, if you select the option, Azure will take care of the disk for data redundancy. We don't want that. Again, there is a cost associated with the managed disk. Then storage account, I will go with new storage account. So storage account is where the disk, the virtual machine's disk will be stored. And then the network interface, again we will go with a new network interface. There is a default subnet it will create, and then for publicly accessing the machine, we'll have a new public IP created for it. So we'll go with all the default option. Auto shutdown, if you want to enable this one, again this is also a very good feature. Most of the time I recommend having auto shutdown, so that by mistake, if you forget to have your machine shut down, it will get automatically shut down after some time, right? So here I'm giving 7 p.m. UTC time for auto shutdown. And then if it happens to go for the auto shutdown, if whether you want to get notified or not. So in our case, I don't want to be notified, so I'm having it switched off. If you are interested in receiving the notification, you can click on and provide your email ID, so that whenever auto shutdown happens, you will receive the notification. So again, I am not going for that. Boost diagnostic, again this is an advanced feature. We don't need that boot diagnostic, so we'll disable that. Okay, so you go with all these options. Okay, HDD, disk type, no management of disk, a new storage account, new virtual network, default subnet, new public IP address, new security group, and no auto shutdown, and no boot diagnostic. One more thing, if you see, if you go to the network security group, if you click over here, it will show you that there are two ports which will be open, okay, for this new security group. One port is for RDP, the remote desktop, through which we will connect for a desktop based to a desktop based environment. The other one is SSH, to connect to our machine via a terminal. It can be a putty, or it can be, if you are connecting it from another Linux machine, you can use SSH. Okay, so these ports will be open by default in the security group, so that we can make the connection. Okay, so next I will click on OK, and finally it will give you the summary of the configuration before creating the virtual machine. It will ask you for your name, preferred email address, and phone number. So all these are required for providing you the support. And after you provide this information, you can click on create. Okay, so this will then start creating the virtual machine or provisioning the virtual machine, and here you will see the progress. And once the virtual machine is provisioned, you will see a notification saying that the virtual machine is up and running. Now the deployment is complete, and in the notification you can see deployment succeeded. If you go to your virtual machines, and here this is our virtual machine we created, it's showing running. If I click on this, here you will see there is a public address associated with it. So we can use this public address to connect to our virtual machine either via SSH or via remote desktop. Okay, so to connect, we can use this IP address, or this IP address is a dynamic public IP address, so next time you restart, this IP address might change. So a better option is you can configure a DNS name for your virtual machine, so that regardless of how many times you restart, you will have the same DNS name, and your connectivity, you don't need to copy the public address, the dynamically changing public address every time you want to connect. So for that, I will click on this configure. I will give it a name. Name has to be small case. If you click over here, it says it has to be small case, Ethereum devkit environment. Okay, and it will verify that this DNS name, it will check for the DNS name to be unique, and if once this check is verified, you can then save this change. So in my case, I gave this one, and if you also created this virtual machine in the same zone, then same region, in that case, you might come across some error. So maybe you need to give 123 or some unique name over here. So I will save this, and then I will be able to connect to the virtual machine. Okay, so these changes are saved. So now I can go to the DNS name, copy the DNS name, go to start, I can say mstsc. This is the command which opens the remote desktop. Okay, or you can just go and search for remote desktop, so it will open the same application. I will copy the DNS name of my virtual machine, accept the certificate, and it will get me connected to the environment. So here I need to provide the same username and password which I gave while creating the virtual machine. Okay, there is also an option to save this username and password when you are connecting for the first time. So you can click on show option here itself. You can give the username and click on allow me to save the credential, so that next time you don't need to provide the password again. It will directly get you connected. Okay, so now it is giving me an error. Let me make sure I provide the same password. Okay, so now it got connected, and this is our virtual machine's desktop environment where we can do our development. The other option to connect is through a command line tool. So you can have putty. Okay, so you can go over here, get it downloaded. Okay, and then you can use that one. So in my case I have it installed already, so I will open this and then copy the DNS name. Since we are connecting for the first time, it will ask to accept the certificate, and then I will give the same user ID password, and now I am connected. Okay, so if you are comfortable with working on the command line, you can use this option, and if you want a user interface, we can go for the remote desktop.